Hey y'all, welcome back to Ironside. So a little bit different room today. This is our training room for the firearms range. You can see it's still undergoing some construction. We got drywall going up all the way around. Drywall, we still gotta get the ceilings drywalled and insulated, AC, everything run. Bathroom here right behind us, that's all gotta be plumbed. So we got a lot of projects still to do. We got a ways to go. But right now it's a little bit dark in here because I don't have lights up, but we did just get the door on, which is exciting. Either way, it's good enough to run firearms classes right now. Not really the personal protection stuff I want, but for people that just want to come out and shoot guns outside, you know, we're just going to do a quick safety briefing here and then head out to the range. If you're interested in that, check out timberlinetacticaltraining.com. We'd love to see you guys come out here and do some training with us. Now, gas stoves, gas appliances now looking at getting banned. Now, this is kind of a weird one, so I'm going to take a drink here of my kombucha. Okay, so Biden administration now is talking about banning gas stoves, and the reason they say they can do this, it'll be interesting to see what the courts say, but the reason they claim that they can do this is because of, you know, climate change and the fact that it's a safety and health concern, in which case there's a precedence for it, right? Like banning things like asbestos and stuff like that. They say that basically it's the same thing. Now, this is one of our largest fuel burning or fuel sources, right? So wood is the one that I recognize that makes up like 2% of the population uses wood. The rest of it is like, you know, gas and electric basically. So, you know, propane obviously being in there as well. And so this is a little bit concerning. Now, here's the problem. There are areas of this country that really don't have a lot of other options besides propane or natural gas. And let me explain. You go up to the mountains where it's real cold, like in the mountains in Colorado or so. You can't heat electric heat down to those temperatures. You couldn't heat electric heat down to the temperatures I saw when I was in Alaska. Now, yes, you can physically do it, but it's not economical. Electric heaters work really well in the south, and they're very efficient here because we have pretty mild winters. And so it's really common down here for people to have heat pump systems and stuff like that. But electric resistance heaters, they burn up the grid like crazy. They go through a ton of juice and tons of power. It is far more economical to be on natural gas, and then second to natural gas would be propane. So propane, natural gas, I don't know what the actual BTU conversion is. I think they're fairly similar, but propane generally more expensive. So that's why I say propane is second to natural gas is for the price of the price per gallon. So natural gas being banned creates a lot of issues for a lot of people. Now, it doesn't mean that it gets banned overnight. They're not going to come in here and hijack your stoves out. What it does mean is that you can't fix them, you can't replace them. So as they start going bad and as you start having problems with them, you're going to have to convert over to electric. Now, converting over to electric can be very costly. Now, I want you to think about being down south where you have a lot of houses that are built on slabs. They don't build as many houses on slabs up north, but oftentimes if you have a basement or something where you have things encased in slabs, if you have gas lines encased in those slabs, or you have to run an electric line through that slab because there's no other place to run it, you are limited to cutting up that slab. That's probably your only option. So it's a sizable event on certain houses. Some houses are easier than others, but it certainly brings in its own realm of problems to start updating this. And this is all stuff that the consumer is going to have to pay. Plus, it's a little bit ridiculous because they always sold us as natural gas as being like the cleanest energy, right? That was always the big thing, is that natural gas was really, really clean. You know, we're exchanging natural gas in order to burn coal-fired electricity, which to me seems ludicrous. But basically, they're saying that it's a health hazard inside the home to the occupants inside the home, is what it is. If you guys don't make kombucha on your farm, I love this stuff. And I'm not definitely not a hippie, but the kombucha is good. It's really refreshing when you're out working. Okay, so what can you do to get ready for this? Well, you got a couple options. You can start stockpiling some spare parts and stuff so that you can make it through. If they do this, eventually we're all going to have to deal with it, right? So if they, let's say that passes, you can stockpile as many parts as you want. Eventually your heater's just going to go out, right? Your heat exchanger is going to crack or something along those lines. Now, we regularly inspect heating systems and furnaces from the 80s and 90s. I've even done one as old as 1960 that was still operational. I've done older ones than that, but not operational. 1960s, I think, was like 1961 was the oldest one I did that was operational. So heating systems can last for a very long time, but at the end of the day, 20 years from now, there's going to be very few of them left if they do pass this. Same thing with gas stoves and You look at people that, especially people that want to be more off-grid, that want to use propane freezers and propane refrigerators. I realize it's a very small percentage of the population, but these people have to figure out something to do, and propane was one of the only options available to them. Propane is the only option available to small farms or large farms that are very far out. Some of those farms are so far out they can't get electricity to them, and even with our modern conveniences today, they have to run propane generators out there, and it's part of their business expense that they constantly have propane, very, very large propane tanks topped off and filled up. So it's certainly a aspect to consider of how does this affect everybody else, even if it just doesn't affect me directly, right? Because I don't have natural gas and I don't have propane. We have diesel powered stuff, we have gasoline powered stuff, and we run electricity, and then we heat with wood. There's no natural gas out here, and nothing in my house runs on propane. So to me personally, it doesn't affect me. But it makes a huge difference in what I'm going to be paying when I go get beef, because beef is going to be produced on a farm that's being run by generators that are powered by propane. And if they can no longer do that, they have to pay the electric company a fortune, a massive fortune to go out there. One of the properties in Mandolin and I looked at buying had no power to it. Alabama Power wanted $25,000 to run power out to this. It was only a couple poles. It wasn't like we were like way out, like a mile from the nearest power line. It was a couple of poles is all they would need. They wanted $25,000 to do it. It was one of the reasons why we didn't buy the property. The other reason is property was too expensive for us, but I digress. So anyways, it was a dream property. We really liked it. Anyways, would have been a lot of fun to purchase that one. But we are looking at this and seeing all these overreaches, and that's really the bigger concern. The bigger concern is the governmental overreach on what they're thinking is within their capabilities and what is in their legal right and their justification to attack and to say this is in the name of your safety. We saw this with the Amish farmer, and I'm blanking on his name. You guys, if you don't know who I'm talking about, there's lots of stuff on it. Just type in Amish farmer fights USDA. But we're seeing this now with that legislation where the lawyer that's responsible for that case is actually trying to push for legislators to get involved to make it to where, hey, as long as I tell you that this meat is not USDA approved, you and I are free to exchange, and we don't have to have the government in between us, right? The way it works right now is if I sell you meat, indirectly sell you meat, we have to have a USDA inspector in between us. I can't just sell it to you and tell you it's not been inspected. That's illegal. And that's basically what this guy's getting in trouble for. He actually did it legally. So it's a huge overreach by the USDA, which we see time and time again, right? And we're seeing this right now with them trying to ban natural gas. And this is where I'm a little bit concerned about where this goes into the future and where these steps continue to where this overreach comes from the executive branch. The one good thing that I feel at least optimistic about is that because of all this overreach, the courts keep whacking it down and knocking him down and knocking him back and knocking him back. And I'm enjoying seeing them lose a lot of these in court because then it kind of ends it for everything for at least a short period of time, right? And maybe we can take a few steps back into getting our country back. The bottom line is a lot of things in our country will be massively fixed if we do an overhaul and deregulate. And that's where the executive branch does not want to do because they lose authority. The more regulations, the more authority the executive branch has, and Congress has basically given that authority to them over the last 30 or 40 years. So, guys, I'll leave you all with that. I just want to let you know what was going on, what the deal is with this ban on natural gas burning appliances. It is not an end. It's not solidified yet. It has not been determined, and the final nail has not been driven in this coffin to push this through. So it's definitely still just a realm of possibilities. But it is interesting to see that this is where they want to go. So thanks again for watching, y'all. We'll catch y'all tomorrow.